I started the trip because I didn't know what else to do. Graduation had come and gone, and the city felt too loud, too certain. I told everyone I was making a film, a personal look at America between coasts, but really I just wanted to disappear for a while. So I packed my camera, a small notebook, and 2 changes of clothes into a worn black backpack and started hitching rides west. Toward nowhere in particular, I filmed what I could. An old man sweeping the steps of a gas station, a storm rolling across the plains, a girl with missing front teeth feeding a dog french fries in the back of a pickup. By the 3rd week, I had stopped thinking about what the footage was for. The road had its own rhythm: wake, ride, film, sleep, repeat. Days folded into each other until they felt the same shade of gray. Kansas was all sky. Towns appeared and vanished like mirages. A diner, a church, a sign promising antiques, ice cream. Most nights I slept in cheap motels, the kind where the ice machine is always broken and the carpet smells like rain that never dries. That evening in one of those nameless places, I was killing time at a bus station. The bus east had been delayed indefinitely, according to the bored woman at the counter. I walked around the waiting area, vending machines, flickering lights, walls the color of nicotine, and stopped at the bulletin board by the restrooms. Between a flyer for Bible study Wednesdays and a missing cat notice, I saw a small printed paper pinned crookedly to the corkboard. Leaving for Wichita tomorrow morning, room for 1. Call Frank. Someone had written the word safe under it, in blue pen. I hesitated, reading it again. Room for 1. Such an odd phrase, almost formal, like a remnant from another time. But it was late, and I needed to move. I called from the motel's payphone, the receiver sticky against my ear. The line clicked twice before a man's voice answered. Frank speaking. He sounded older, maybe 50, voice calm but oddly careful, as if each word was weighed before it left his mouth. I told him who I was, a student, traveling for a film project, looking for a ride toward Wichita. Always good to see young people exploring, he said. You can learn a lot on the road. I'll be passing through at 6. Diner across from the station. You like coffee? I said yes. He laughed softly. Good, I'll bring a thermos, the kind that lasts forever. There was something comforting in his tone, a small-town politeness that made you forget to be afraid. When I hung up, I realized the payphone glass still held the warmth of my hand. Outside, the night was silent except for the hum of the vending machine. I watched the highway lights flicker in the distance and told myself I'd found a bit of luck. But the word safe, scrawled in blue ink, stayed with me long after I turned out the light. He pulled up exactly at 6. The diner was barely open, the sky still gray with the kind of light that makes everything look washed out. Frank waved through the windshield. Thin hand, steady smile. His truck was a faded blue Ford, the seats cracked but clean. The smell inside was familiar. Gas, dust, old coffee. Leon, right? Yeah, he nodded. You look tired. Long week, I said. He handed me a paper cup. Homemade brew, strong enough to wake the dead. The coffee was bitter, burned almost, but I drank it anyway. As we drove, he talked solid, not much at first, just small things. Where I was from, why I was traveling, what my parents thought about it. They didn't. I said, they think it's a phase, Dad. He smiled, watching the road. Maybe it is. Maybe that's fine. Kansas slid by in slow repetition. Barns, bare trees, telephone poles marching toward the horizon. Frank's voice filled the cab in quiet, steady lines. He told me about teaching high school history, about kids who couldn't name their own governor but could quote song lyrics word for word. They don't see where they came from, he said. That's why they keep running. He asked if I believed in God, not in an accusing way, but more like curiosity. I'm not sure, like I said. He nodded. Like most people who say that are just afraid of what the answer means. The way he said it made me think he wasn't really asking. We stopped once for gas. A 2-pump station surrounded by open field. He went inside to pay and I stretched my legs, checked my phone. No signal. When he came back, he handed me a candy bar. On the house, but he said. Guy inside gave me 2. We drove another hour without speaking. The sun climbed higher, turning the road into a white ribbon. I caught myself staring at his hands on the wheel. Long fingers, nails cut to the quick. There were small scars across his knuckles, pale lines that looked old. He caught me looking. Working hands, he said and smiled again. After a while, he began telling stories, odd ones, about people disappearing off highways, about houses that stayed locked for years with lights still on inside. You'd be surprised, he said. What folks hide out here. The land's big enough to keep its secrets. Something about the calmness in his voice made me uncomfortable. I nodded but didn't answer. By afternoon, the sky turned white, almost empty. I dozed off for a moment, the hum of tires lulling me. When I woke, we'd left the highway. The road narrowed into dirt and scrub. I checked the GPS, but no signal again. Shortcut, Frank said, like quicker this way. I tried to remember it if I'd seen any towns on the map nearby. I couldn't think of one. He started humming softly, that same low tune from the morning, something old, maybe a hymn. After a few minutes, I noticed the gas gauge. The needle sat just above empty. I tell him, "Shouldn't we stop soon?" I asked, and he didn't look at me. "There's a place up ahead." The sky had gone pale and flat the way it looks before a storm. I rolled the window down and the air was dry, heavy with static. Then the truck slowed. A single gas station appeared at the edge of the field. No cars, one pump, windows tinted black. Frank smiled. "Told you." He parked, killed the engine, and unbuckled. "Be right back. You stay here." I watched him walk toward the small building, his reflection warping in the glass doors. When I looked down at my hands, they were shaking. I told myself it was just caffeine. I blinked once. The light shifted like a shadow passed over the sun. Then everything went quiet, and the world tipped sideways. I woke to the smell of wet concrete and metal, the kind of air that sits heavy in your mouth, that tastes like rust. Something dripped rhythmically in the dark. My head felt split open. When I tried to lift it, pain shot it behind my eyes. My wrists were bound at thick rope, coarse against the skin. My ankles too. The light came from a single bulb hanging low, swaying gently. The shadows on the walls moved with it like they were alive. There was no sound except the water and the faint hum of electricity somewhere far above. Then a voice, low, soft, almost tender. "Shh, don't move too much, sweetheart. You fell." Footsteps approached, slow, dragging, deliberate. Out of the dark came a figure, bent at the waist, moving on hands and knees, wearing a long floral dress smeared with dust and a mask, rubber, pale, wrinkled, the face of an old woman, sagging cheeks, closed mouth, blank eyes. The figure stopped a few feet away. "Grandma's here," it whispered. I froze. The voice was wrong, too low for a woman, muffled, trembling on the edge of laughter. "Where am I?" I managed. "Home," the figure said. "My home. You were lost on the road. I found you." It crawled closer, the smell of it like sour milk and something rotten underneath. It placed a chipped bowl near my feet. Inside was something beige and thick like porridge. "You need to eat, honey. You're all skin and bones." When I didn't move, it tilted its head, the mask creaking faintly. "Don't make her sad," it said, voice slipping from gentle to sharp in an instant. "She worries when the children don't eat." I tried again to free my wrists. The rope burned my skin. The figure's head snapped toward the sound. None of that now. It leaned close, and through the slit in the rubber I saw a flash of skin, rough, stubbled, sweat beading along the jaw, a man's face beneath. "Frank?" I whispered. The body froze. Then a small sound escaped. Not quite a laugh, not quite a sob. "Grandma doesn't like that name. It's shouted that name," it said softly. "Grandma takes care of you now." It stroked my hair with a gloved hand. The touch was gentle, deliberate, like petting a frightened dog. When it stood, the hem of the dress brushed my knee. The figure turned toward the door, dragging its feet. Before it left, it paused and looked back. "Good boys don't run from homes," it said. "You'll learn." The light flickered. The bulb swayed again, throwing its shadow across the wall. A long, twisted shape that still moved after it was gone. I sat there breathing, counting the drops of water, trying to wake up, but I already knew I wasn't dreaming. And somewhere above me, I thought I heard humming. The same tune Frank had been humming in the truck, soft, patient, endless. Time lost its edges. There were no windows, no clock, no sky, only the rhythm of footsteps above, the creak of a door, the scrape of a chair. Grandma came often. Always crawling, always humming that same old hymn, off-key, but steady. Each visit followed a ritual. She'd set down the bowl, check the rope, touch my face with the back of her gloved hand. "Still warm," she'd murmur. "That's good. The cold ones don't talk much." I asked questions at first and where I was, what she wanted, if someone was coming. She never answered directly. Sometimes she'd just tilt her head and whisper, "Ma, hush now, Grandma's listening." There was something strange about her hands, like long fingers, nails bitten down. Once, when she adjusted the mask, I saw the same scar that ran along Frank's jaw. After that, I stopped asking. The air grew thick and stale. The walls seemed closer each time I woke. Sleep came in flashes, like seconds maybe, full of shapes I couldn't name. When I opened my eyes, she was there again, sitting cross-legged in the corner like a child watching me breathe. One day she brought a comb. "You need to look nice," she said. "It's almost supper." She began brushing my hair, slow strokes, the comb snagging on tangles. "So handsome," she whispered through the rubber lips. "Better than the last one, he talked too much." I wanted to ask what happened to the last one, but my throat locked up. When she fed me, her voice softened again. "Don't be scared. It's just love. Grandma's love hurts sometimes." Once, when she leaned close, I caught the faint scent of gasoline beneath the milk and rot. I remembered the truck, the station, the candy bar. My stomach turned. I realized then she never ate, never drank, only watched. Later, when I pretended to sleep, I heard her whispering to someone unseen, a murmuring conversation, gentle and rhythmic like prayer. "Don't worry, babies," she said. "Your brother's almost ready." Something brushed my leg. A hand? Or maybe the hem of the dress, then the humming again, louder, almost joyful. The next time she came, she brought clothes, a white shirt, short trousers, the kind of outfit a boy might wear to Sunday school 50 years ago. She laid them on the floor. "Put them on tomorrow. You'll be clean for dinner." Her voice cracked on the last word. That night I stayed awake, counting the turns of the bulb. My wrists were raw, the ropes had loosened a little from my weight. I waited until her footsteps faded, then I pulled. The fibers bit deep, but one strand gave, another followed. When I finally slipped free, the silence hit harder than any noise. Upstairs, the boards creaked. The hymn began again, like faint, distorted, rising from somewhere near the ceiling. I stood dizzy, one hand pressed against the wall for balance. There was a door at the far end of the room, unlocked. I pushed it open and climbed toward the sound of the song. I woke to footsteps above me, slow, dragging, as if someone had to think before each step. The air smelled of dust and something sweet that had started to rot. My head throbbed. The ropes around my wrists were wet with sweat, softening under each pull. The door at the top opened. A strip of yellow light slid down the stairs. Grandma crawled in. Same floral dress, same cracked rubber mask with its drooping mouth and painted eyes. A long fracture ran along one cheek. She held a bowl of something thick and beige, steam rising weakly from it. "You need to eat," she said. "Supper's almost ready." I didn't move. The smell hit me. Sour milk, old meat. She set the bowl beside me and leaned close. "Good boy," she whispered. "Grandma loves you." When she reached forward to feed me, I grabbed her hand between my teeth and bit down. She screamed, high, sharp, unbroken. Blood filled my mouth. I lunged, knocking her backward. The bowl shattered, food splashing across the concrete. She tried to grab me, but I threw myself at her shoulder first. The lamp above swung, the light flickering across her mask. The rubber mouth curved in a frozen smile. I kept pushing, hitting, shoving, twisting, until she slipped on the spilled food and fell hard. The sound was dull and wet. A long, shaky breath left her chest. I didn't check if she could get back up. I staggered toward the stairs. My legs trembled. Every step was a climb through water, but I reached the top and pushed into a narrow hallway. The door to the right was open. I stepped inside and froze. The living room was dim, curtains drawn tight. The air felt heavy, and around a long wooden table sat 4 dead people, 2 men, 2 women, all roughly my age. They were dressed like children, pressed shirts, little collars, ribbons, short sleeves. Their skin had dried to a gray tightness. Their mouths hung open in small, cracked half-smiles. In front of each one sat a cup of milk that had long since curdled into a gray lump. Something cold slid through my chest. Behind me came a low groan. I turned. Grandma, Frank, was trying to get up, clutching his bleeding wrist. The mask had fallen off. His real face looked pale and lost, eyes trembling as if he couldn't decide where to focus. He reached out to me, voice thin and breaking. "Don't leave, Sos," he whispered. "Not now. You're home now. You're ours." I stepped back. Another step, another, and then I ran. Through the living room, past the table, down the hallway, out the door. The night air hit me like ice. The ground tore at my bare feet, sharp stones slicing the skin, but I didn't stop. Behind me, the house stood in the darkness. The windows flickered with a faint, irregular glow, like someone inside was walking with a lamp, searching the rooms. And then even that faded. I reached the road and kept running until the sky turned gray and my breath was the only sound in the world. I never saw Frank again, but sometimes when I close my eyes, I still taste his blood. And I still hear that soft voice in the dark, close enough to touch. "Good boy."